Here's a story. You grew up a boy. When you were 8 years old, a family member raped you for years, vaginally. You start your menstrual and become more in touch with your feminine side. Everyone says you're nothing more than a delusional man, trying to be a woman, a transgender. That your marriage is a gay relationship. But what man can have a child? Trappin Anonymous.
So your mother just thinks you're delusional.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks you're making it up.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks you made up the pregnancy.
Yep.
How can you make up that belly? Like how?
Right. And that's when it hit her, when she saw my belly, and then she started to question herself like, well, if it's true, it's true, but I just think it's made up.
What's good? My name is Chris Dowes. It's Trappin Anonymous. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you everybody for helping keeping the movement moving. I am so grateful for this platform that God has blessed us with. And, I thank y'all for keeping us number one in Black true crime, and just spreading these stories and these messages and these testimonies. Really just, it's powerful through the power of their testimony. You have all made this quite the place, quite the home for many people. To remember that the stories that you hear reflect real life. They're here to educate, they're here to inform, and to hopefully keep your little homie off the streets. My name is Chris Dowes, Trappin Anonymous. Let's get it. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
First, your name and why your story is important.
My name is Morgan Aaliyah Williams. My story is important because it's changing the world. I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like my story is important because it's just different.
Okay. So I've done some research, not much. So I'm gonna need you to explain to maybe not just me, but everyone, like I'm 5 years old. What does it mean to be intersex?
Okay, intersex means you're born with female and male sex parts legally. You can either conceive or you can get someone pregnant. So it's just like the best of both worlds. Some people are different. Some people don't have all the female parts, but have some. Some people don't have all the male parts. Some people just have enlarged genitalias, which is just a woman with a enlarged clitoris that almost looks like a penis.
Yeah, because I believe in my very remedial education on the everyone's born with a penis, but the penis falls off. And the clit is just like a really small penis in
Yeah.
a sense?
Yeah.
Okay, but for you, you have a full penis and a full vagina. How? That's the first question that,
I ask that all the time, but it's almost like it's a blessing, but it's almost a birth defect. You were forming into one thing, but really you were forming two identities. And it's almost like nothing fell off, everything just kept progressing, and then that's just how it happens. I don't really know the scientific meaning of how that happens, but that's just my view of that.
Okay, so I guess I'm sort of trying to, without being too graphic, but like trying to think of like the positioning, right? Like you have the penis, and then the vagina is like under it.
Yeah.
So like where what they call the gooch would be.
So technically be like almost having almost like two buttholes, but it's like one is a vagina and the other one is your butthole. I know, pretty graphic.
Okay, so when you're stimulated, like you get wet and you're hard at the same time?
But it eventually goes away, whichever one is stimulated the most. I've never physically have done anything with the penis. So I don't really have a stimulation there as long, but as vaginal, I've only done vaginal sex or anything.
So your penis and your testicles are just kind of there.
Yeah. For the most part, I mean, even when I use the bathroom, sometimes whichever I feel it come through first, that's what I use it out of. But for the most part, it's vaginal.
Okay. Okay. So you've never tried to get stimulation. You never did anything with your penis ever?
I've tried. I mean, I've had an experience, like a one-time experience, and I don't have that energy in me. I've completely found just my overall woman energy and just prefer to only be stimulated vaginally. It's just not my preference. It also makes me feel weird because for me, I feel more woman than anything. And for me to be stimulated in a masculine way, it almost like makes me feel super confused. And it makes me feel like what is going on. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It doesn't feel like a pleasure. I don't feel the pleasure,
Right.
yeah, in that.
It's sort of ironic that you say that because like I've heard many women say, I wonder want to know what it feels like to have a penis for a day. Like,
Yeah.
I want to get my thing sucked. Like, you know what I'm saying? And for you to actually, have the privilege to have both is kind of like, nah. I feel like a woman. I kind of want to be a woman, and
Yeah.
you know,
It feels weird because it's like it is just kind of just there.
right,
It's not really being used. So it's almost like just weird having just extra skin
right.
and everything you do is vaginal and you're stimulated vaginal.
Are you like circumcised?
Yeah. No, actually, no.
No.
I had to think about what circumcised was. No. I believe my mom tried,
Right.
but something happened with that and I never got circumcised. So, yeah.
So like, what does it say like on your birth certificate? And
It says male,
it does.
but I know just by my own experience of going to doctors, they've asked me multiple times, like, when was your last menstrual? So it says male, but they also know that I'm intersex, which is weird. I don't know why they put male
Right.
on the birth certificate instead of just female and male, or allow me to choose when I grew up.
So you have a period. Wow. This is like so fascinating,
Thank you.
right? Because you were also pregnant.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
Whew. So that pregnancy, it was actually this past few months that I was pregnant, and it wasn't the best experience. I found out when we moved to a new city, and in that new city, we didn't know any doctors. We didn't know, anything. We didn't even expect to be pregnant. It was just a moment where God told me take a test, and I took a test, and it said positive. So of course, me thinking like, okay, it's positive, but I was always told it's very unlikely for me to get pregnant or be a low chance. But God said it was my turn to be one of those scientific tests. Like this is the one out of 100 that actually did. And I got to 5 months. Wow. 5 months. My stomach just kept growing, kept growing. And eventually I went to a clinic that turned me down. They wouldn't they wouldn't care for me. I went there to get like ultrasound and just the overall checkup, and they chose not to see me, and they referred me somewhere else. And that place was almost like abandoned when I went there, and they never answered the phone when I tried to call. So at that point, it pumped a fear in me of doctors, such as like, no one's going to see me, no one's going to care for me. They prejudge me before they even know me. I wasn't even checked in or seen by the doctor for them to deny me. It was just me checking in. And clearly I had a belly. I clearly was in pain at that also, but they chose not to. So eventually we lost our baby. I just started to experience really bad cramps just with the stress of everything we were going through, the stress of not knowing, the stress of just the world. Because I did go public with that pregnancy, and just so many people's negative comments, so many people. I mean, it was positive comments as well, but it's like those negative ones, you know, they stress you out more when you're pregnant. And yeah, eventually we lost our baby, and we had to just pick up the pieces from there.
Man, and this is where my problem comes in, right? Nobody would even see you. No doctors, no hospitals, no clinics. How much do you attribute the miscarriage to doctors just saying no?
Getting emotional. It's sick that they would even say no to anybody. It's sick. And I've had to really forgive. I had to forgive those doctors. I had to forgive those facilities because they could have saved my baby.
Right.
I could have died during that pregnancy. And, you know, it's an everyday journey with trying to move forward from that pain, you know, to lose a child, especially when it's like you weren't able to seek medical attention.
Right.
You feel like it's your fault, but it's not my fault. I've tried. I tried to reach out. I tried to get help, and I just didn't get it.
I mean, your spirit, since I met you, you know, and I've told you this before, you have such the most calming and warm, kind spirits that I can't even believe you went through all this. Life, navigating life must be extremely difficult for someone that the world is not yet ready to accept.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like I don't feel like I fit in anywhere. I almost feel like there's always a chip on my shoulder, or I'm always having to think about what people are perceiving me as. But it's a process, and I know that I have a purpose. I know that God flows through me just like He would anybody else, but my purpose is much different from anybody else's. And yeah.
People may look at you and think that you may have gotten like breast implants, or did you have any kinds of cosmetic surgery?
No, no. I mean, if I did, I definitely would have made a video on that. I share my life very publicly. So if I would have got my breasts done or anything done, y'all would know. Like,
What do you think God's calling on your life is?
I think it's to be set apart, but it's also because He didn't just make only man and woman. It's multiple other people that are just like me that have reached out to me, telling me that they have the same issue with their bodies. So I know that my life is to open up the world's eyes to take everyone out of this category of just trans and all these names that the LGBTQ, like, just take us out of that category and know that we are normal. We just were born with both sex and we can't really do anything about it. Yeah, we can get the surgery, but it's like getting that surgery comes with things. And I just don't think that's something that God wants me to do. Who's to say later on he might, but right now it's like God is telling me to just be my most authentic self, tell my story, share my story. He's giving me a husband, so somebody loves it, and yeah, like
And I also asked too because like, especially you and I have spoken about the God probably the whole way here.
yeah,
And so many people might look at it like, God draws a line in the sand. He created Adam and Eve, and people might look at, the word and says like this is not in the word, or we don't see this in the word. So how do you sort of come to terms with how God views you according to like scripture, or according to like, what people think in their own religious pockets? Like, what do you think,
I tend to take out what people think versus what God is saying directly to me.
Okay.
And I know how far God has brought me. I know God gave me multiple different platforms, not just for clout, not just for anything. God speaks through me. I do prophetic words. So I know God doesn't hate me. God didn't create me to be, how can I say it? God didn't want me to be placed in a category or to feel less than or to feel like I'm doing anything wrong. Because anything that I do, I pray, I fast just like anybody else. And God shows me, His will, and His will has got me this far.
You are married. I was looking at some of your other stories online. I'll let you tell it. How did y'all meet, and how did y'all get married?
So we met on a dating app, and I got off of work and we just met up, talked for hours, and I just explained everything to him, like gave him the full rundown, didn't want any surprises because people nowadays get killed. And I didn't want that. So I wanted him to know from the jump, like, this is what the deal is. If you don't like it, see ya. And from there, it was just instant chemistry. And he's not gay or anything. He's really straight. Like, I mean, the hoodest person that I know. I mean, he's very biblical also. But he was just okay with me being different, as long as it was really that. If it was something cosmetic, he wouldn't have been okay with it. Like if I went and got a vagina made or something, he wouldn't have been okay with that. But because I was from birth born with that, he was okay with it. And we met Monday. That Friday, we got engaged. And 9 months later, we got married. So, yeah.
I have so many questions.
All right.
Because like, I guess like the first place people's mind will go, like even like during sex, there's another penis in the room.
Yeah.
Is it like get in the way? Is it like, does he interact with it? Like,
No. He's just like, it's in a place where it wouldn't really be in a way. But that's why we build a mental chemistry and a mental stimulation before a physical. And that was just something that we were both big on. And me personally, I wanted to be mentally stimulated before sexual or anything else. If you can't mentally stimulate me, how can I share my body with you?
right.
and share those spirits with you. If we're not equally yoked,
Right.
and I'm yoking myself up with you, destruction comes from that. So,
Valid point. Points
yeah.
were made. So like, does your like bio on the dating app say that you're like intersex, or do you usually wait for in-person conversation?
I put it in my bio because I wanted anyone that was reaching out to me to know I'm intersex. Like, don't expect anything less. Know that I'm intersex. And I've had a lot of catches, but they were mainly just trying to try me out. And yeah, just really just try me out.
What does that mean?
Like as a science experiment, like, oh, what is this like? Let me just tell her what she want to hear and use her. And, I got tired of being used.
You would have sex with these guys, and you would feel like
Some of them,
they were.
yeah, I felt like I was at a period in my life where I felt just less than, and I was just giving myself up. And it got to the point where I just was like, I'm tired of being used. I want to be valued. And it wasn't that I was just giving up with, I just want anybody to have my body. I wanted to be a wife. God told me for years, by 25, you'll be a wife. And I was 24. It was like, okay, God, where he at though? Like, and I just was just going for anything and anybody. And it was just like, they were telling me what I wanted to hear. I was telling them I wanted to be married, and I would just fall into the trap before actually seeing them move in that direction. My husband, he instantly moved in that direction. He didn't even want to touch me or anything until we got married, really. I mean, when we got engaged, yeah, we did it, but it was just still like, we should just probably not do it so much, or if it just happens, it happens. But we eventually went completely celibate until we got married. And that was just a big step in our marriage because it was like, yeah, we both want to be valued,
Right.
but it was for him also saying, like, I want you to feel the most valued because you haven't felt that from anybody. Yeah.
Wow. I know, so your features, you have both male features and female features. For the people that say, like your husband has to have some kind of homosexuality tendencies, or like gay, something has to be gay about him that he's able to be with you. What do you say to them?
Mind your business. But I mean, it's just everyone has their own preference. It's our marriage, we talk to God about how we feel. God led us together, so what God brings together, no man can tear apart.
Let no man take asunder.
So,
Did you typically date gay men?
no.
No.
Anyone I've ever dated was straight. They've just been understanding because I thoroughly explain it. That goes back to the point where I was saying, like, some of them just wanted to try me out. Like, okay, I understand, but let's just see how it goes. And once they tell me what they want, what I want to hear, and they experience me, it was almost like it's a little weird for me. For some people, it was a little weird. But you're a great person, but this ain't gonna work, which is okay. I'd rather someone be completely honest versus having me married or years down the line miserable, feeling less than. So yeah.
Do you consider men that are with you to be gay, or other men that were with you to have like sort of some type of gay tendencies?
No.
Did any man like come out to be gay after being with you?
No. No. A lot of them are actually, some of them have kids now. Some of them are engaged to women. No.
And you don't have no problem getting men.
No.
It was never something that was challenging for you.
Cause I'm very straightforward, and then I get approached by a lot of men that are just straight, just walking down the street. A man will tell me I'm beautiful. I never had an issue, only when I was not being authentic to myself. Like the way my mom raised me, that would be the only time where it was like men will question like who I am or what I am.
Talk to me about that. Give me an instance. Like what happened?
I mean, my mom, she raised me as her son. So leaving her house and graduating, going to college, I kind of had a little bit more male tendencies because that's what I was forced to do. Anything that she felt like was too girly, she was like, don't do that. Or, no, you look a little too girly. And even without me trying, the waiters would come up to the table if we're out to eat and say, what can I get you, ma'am? Or, so it wasn't like I was just trying to, be what I am. It's just, she just didn't like anything of that. So, when I graduated, I didn't really know how to be completely feminine. I was a little bit more like hardcore, wanted to like just be a little bit more rugged, rough looking, and that wasn't the look for me because it didn't work out that way. Men would question it. Some men called me trans, and it hurt during the time because I still was figuring out myself. But once I figured out myself, it didn't bother me anymore because I know what I am. I know I'm not trans, I'm transgender. I mean, maybe nowadays they can have babies, but I can have a baby just by having natural sex. So it's a big difference.
Have you ever been with a woman?
I had an experience, and it was like middle school. When she kissed me, it was like, I can't. I can't. Like, I was like, no way, this girl just kissed me. No.
Right.
But we stayed together for 4 months.
Right.
But it was like that puppy love. Like, we only saw each other switching classes, and it would just be one of them side hugs. Like, yeah, that's my little shorty. But no, it wasn't. I didn't feel that though.
So like losing your virginity, what was that experience like? Did they know like what was going on, or were you sort of still confused about what was going on? Like,
I was raped by a family member. I was in the 3rd grade when I lost my virginity, and yeah, it's okay. That experience was very different because he was in high school. I was in the 3rd grade. So it was something just words can't explain. Being that young, not even fully formed yet, really, and you have basically a grown man kissing on you, sticking his big thing in you, it's like, okay, what's really going on? And it wasn't a one-time thing. It was every time he would come over for the summer, I knew at nighttime he was going to do it again. And it got to a point where I feel like it was supposed to happen. Cause I was in 3rd grade. I don't know what sex is. So when he kept doing it, he'll be mean to me in front of everybody. But then at nighttime, he'll like, you're so beautiful, and have sex with me to the point where I mentally was like, I already know he's gonna do it, so let me just not do anything. But once I got of the age where I knew what sex was, I remember my stepdad leaving, and he beat me. He was there with me, and he beat me and told me, if you tell anybody, I'll kill you. And after that, I just let him do whatever he want. I I was young. I didn't really know. I didn't really know. And I was scared to tell anybody because he said it would kill me. You know, being young and you see someone with a gun, it's almost like he might actually really kill me. And it wasn't until the 8th grade when I finally told my mom. I tried to commit suicide like 3 times. And the last time I actually felt death come over me where I felt my body shutting down. And I remember God telling me, either you can come up out this water and have a testimony, or you can end it right here. And when I came up, that's when I was like, no more. I'm not gonna be a victim anymore. I'm not gonna do it. It just was getting out of hand when it wasn't even just him. It was his cousin. They would all come in the room together and lock me in the room and slap me with their dinglings and just take advantage of me. So I got tired of it and I finally told my mom, and she didn't really do anything about it at all. He still came over, and she would say like he just popped up, and she didn't know he was coming with the family, but it's still like, as a mother, you could have said something. And with that being your husband's family, he could have said something because he knew. And it wasn't until senior year when I wrote a letter. All through school, like teachers had you write letters about something like a secret or something. And I used to always write about being raped. None of my teachers ever said anything until senior year. And my teacher, she read it and she was like, I have to report this. And that was the first time any action was ever put towards me being raped. I had to file a police report. Yeah,
And what ended up happening to them?
nothing. Nothing at all.
Was it like, did they know that you were intersex?
He didn't know, but that was how I started to figure out who I was. Because when he was doing it to me, I was like, okay, I know that's not my butthole he's in. So what hole is he in? And that is when I started to like explore, like, like as a kid, sometimes you just anybody, sometimes you look in the mirror, boys look at their dingling and girls look at their vagina. It's like I was looking back there one day and I'm like, I have 2 holes. No wonder. And it started to make sense. But according to my mom, it was like, no, no way, that couldn't happen. No, like you just making it up. Never took me to the doctor for it. But once I got old enough to take myself to the doctor, that is when I started to find out more about myself and to really understand like your body can be different from another person's. Like it's not gonna just be visible every time like a vagina and a penis. Sometimes it's hidden. Sometimes you have female ovaries and just have a male part. It can be, any.
And what is this person saying? They're not looking at this sort of medical mystery and kind of being like tripped out about it. They're just so.
I don't think he knew. I think for him, he did it at night and he just would just stick it in and
He thought he was just raping a little boy for years.
never did he think anything of it. Never did he mention anything. But he always did it at night where he couldn't really see what was going on. It wasn't like he did any foreplay or anything. He just would stick it in dry. So
Kind of individual, like, it's just like, what kind of individuals are these? Like, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like little children, you people are just. How does this affect you growing up now and being with people now that you're dating and going through this every night?
My
Are
first
you
action.
intimate with other people?
Oh, well, in college, I wasn't, I mean, not college, high school, I wasn't really intimate with anyone because I felt like I didn't have that urge to have sex like my friends. College, when I got my first real boyfriend, I was uncomfortable. It felt like rape to me. Even if he did foreplay, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking off all my clothes. I wouldn't feel comfortable with the thoughts of him doing anything to me. It all felt like rape. But eventually, after being with him for 4 years, I got comfortable and learned, like, okay, the difference between rape and the difference between actually wanting it. But it also could be rape within a relationship. You know, sometimes you don't want it, but they just snatch you up out your sleep and stick it in you. And I've had that experience happen, and it's not a, it's not something that I agree with. And I speak up on it because it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel like I'm back silent again.
You played on a football team. Talk to me about your sports and, I know this trans in sports is like such a big topic. Do you play for the men? Do you play for the women? Like, sort of, where do you fall? And, what was that experience like?
So when I played football, my mom signed me up as her son. So, I was with the boys, and, eventually the guys that I went to school with, they knew me, and I was really good friends with them. So I explained to them, like, I got both. And, back then we had like Uvu and Skype. So it was just like, even the Tango app, we would all be on there and they would be like, no, let me see. And I showed them. And a lot of them then, they stopped hitting me so hard. A lot of them then started protecting me on the field because they were like, no, that's a whole girl. Like, y'all not about to be hitting her like that. So, that was my experience with football. Um, I ran track also. I mean, really, when I ran track, it was with a mix of girls and boys. It was like a summer track team where it's not really a boy and girl sport. It's more like everybody's mixed in with it. We compete against teams all around the states. And yeah, I don't feel like I have any advantage over any girls because in certain areas I'm strong. In certain areas I'm softer. And yeah.
Because, like, even your build is like, like, you knock some out. I ain't
Yeah,
gonna
I
hold
did
you.
boxing too.
For real?
Layla Ali actually, I went to her, she had a gym downtown Atlanta, and I actually trained with a lot of the people that were in her gym. So yeah, I got hands for sure.
When it comes to you and your husband, do you think you guys, you got engaged in less than a week? Do you feel like you moved a little bit too fast?
I would say no, because in the Bible it says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing."
Yes, it does.
And when he met me, the moment I smiled, he said, "You're my wife." And to me, of course, it's like, whoa, you just trying to get in my pants. We ain't going down that fast. Like, and then it was just more so like he actually, you know, moved forward with everything. Like No, I'm going to buy you a ring. No, I'm going to propose to you. And we didn't just get married. It took us 9 months to actually get married. So through those 9 months, we experienced life together. We both ended up having to move in together at a short notice and just venture off like, all right, we're going to move in together. Let's move to a different state and let's try life.
And how's marriage treating you?
Marriage is good. It's not perfect, but
It's tough.
it's tough. It's another human being that you're programming. Nobody's perfect. So you have to give yourself grace and also them grace. You know, God is at the front of our marriage at all times. If there's an issue, we pray about it.
Yeah.
I always tell him, pray with me, don't play with me. So, you know, that's my motto because God don't play about me.
When you use the restroom, do you go into the male bathroom or the female bathroom?
Female.
And how do people look at you?
Most people compliment me like, I love your hair or you're so pretty. Because a lot of people, they can't figure me out. Because it's like, she looks a little masculine, but she looks a little too much like a girl to be anything else. So I get a
You don't
lot
want to
more.
offend, you
Yeah.
know?
So a lot of people actually just compliment me. They don't feel uncomfortable in the restrooms or anything.
What age did you decide, like, all right, I'm going to stop going to the male bathroom and start going to the...
Elementary school. Because I remember I was in there trying to stand up and pee, and I'm like, it ain't coming out this one. So I went to the stalls and started sitting down, and that's when it was like, okay, yeah, I'm not. Sometimes I'll have to sneak in there because it's like, of course, if teachers see you going into the women's bathroom, it's like, yeah, you're gonna get in trouble because they see you as a boy. But to me, it's like, well, you don't know what I got down here. So I would just go like when class is in session and just sneak in there and run back out.
Is tucking a thing for you? I know I kind of got educated on like that whole that's even a like thing.
Um, it is, but it's more so like it's just in the way. And it's painful if I just like leave it out. I mean, it almost feels like you're naked when it's out. So yeah, I do. But it's like, I hate it though. I hate that I even have to do it because it just feels like at this point in my life, it's a natural thing to do. But it's more so like, I know at some point I'm probably going to make the decision to get surgery. But right now, God just wants me to accept this stage in my life and honor what He made and not really, go off my own desires.
Why aren't men that are with you gay or bisexual in your eyes?
Because they're only getting vagina. It's not like they're ever gonna be reversed and I give them penis or anything. They're only gonna get vagina with me, and it's them knowing like, if you have sex with me and you ejaculate in me, you can have a child. And they know that. So I feel like I'm sure some gay guys or I don't want to offend anyone, but like, I'm sure some of them want children, but they don't want to have sex with a woman. So I feel like anyone that's ever been with me, they just only know that they're gonna get vagina and nothing else.
What did your parents think about all of this? Your mom and your dad?
My mom is against it. My mom is
How can you
just,
be against something that you were born as? I'm sorry, I cut
I
you off, but
know.
how can you be against something that you were born as? It's like my mom being against I'm black. It's like, Ma, get
Yeah,
over it, I'm black.
yeah. It's, it's, I hate to say it, but some people just don't want to be educated on things, and some people just want what they want. And my mom was a Scorpio, so she's like, when she got her mindset on something, it's like, no, it's that and that's it. Um, but you know, she just always says like, I pray for you, but all my kids are grown, they got their own life. I don't want any parts of that. Which, you know, with that type of attitude, I don't want her a part of my life either, which sucks because it hurt me when I was pregnant and couldn't call my mom and ask her for advice. It hurt me when I got married and couldn't call my mom and say I got married, or even him ask for my hand in marriage the traditional way. I wasn't able to do that. And to this day, if I call my mom, I don't bring him up. I don't mention them because it's a sense of protection of my happiness.
So your mother just thinks you're delusional. She thinks you're making it up. She thinks you made up the pregnancy.
Yep,
How can you make up that belly? Like how?
right. And that's when it hit her when she saw my belly. Because family members, of course, they screenshot things and send it to her. So when she saw it, it hit her. And then she started to question herself, like, well, if it's true, it's true, but I just think it's made up. But she started to kind of question her own judgment because it's like, maybe I don't know so much. Maybe I did miss something. Doctors miss stuff every day. So, you know, she could say all day long, I took you to doctor's appointments and stuff, but no one ever goes to the doctor and says,
Let
hey,
me see behind the penis.
yeah, you know, when you go to the doctor, you say my head hurts, the doctor look in your head. If you say my stomach hurts, they look in your stomach. I didn't find out these things until like I really started like looking at myself and saying, I got two holes. I feel this every month. And, you know, I'm getting hips and everything is starting to form into a woman. What's going on? And that is when doctors in my own time was like, okay, this is the deal. You're intersex. It's a normal thing, believe it or not, because a lot of women have enlarged genitalia. So it's a normal thing, but most people don't speak up about it. And people just kind of have that what happens in this house stays in this house and just sweep it under the rug.
What did your father think?
My dad accepts it, but he still is not educated on it enough to fully accept me. And when I came out pregnant, he thought I was just doing it for social media. And because he's from the era where like social media is not something that they did. You know, my dad's been a hustler all his life. He's like, if you're posting yourself all day long, you don't have nothing going on. So he just thought I was doing it for clout. But in reality, I just share my real life experiences. Before the pregnancy, I had a platform just by taking care of my patients, genuinely taking care of them and doing workout videos and hair tutorials. I didn't need to do a public stunt.
Right.
You know, this is my life. I have to live with this every single day. I have to get up every morning knowing that I lost my child publicly. And it's like for them to not be there in those moments, it kind of makes you have rage. But I gotta forgive them because they're my parents, right? So,
How do you deal with all that negativity?
um, pray about it. Vengeance is of the Lord's and not mine. And I've learned God don't play about me. So he can get people better than I can. I don't always have to see it. But what you put out is what you get.
Right.
So that's why I'm just as genuine as I can be. It even says Jesus himself didn't get the honor in his own hometown. So, you know, I know people aren't going to believe me. I know people are going to have their opinions, but I know what God is doing through me.
Yeah, man. I was going over that verse in church, actually, that a prophet goes without honor only in his hometown.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very, very, very powerful line. So it's funny that you quoted that. What do you want people to know about intersex people?
We're normal humans. It's just we were blessed with both. You know, just like some people are blessed with bigger breasts, bigger butt. It's like we were just blessed with the best of both worlds. But we're normal. We shouldn't be placed in a category. Yeah.
You have any regrets in life?
The only regret that I have is that I didn't speak up sooner. I had a platform and I fought the allegations of people calling me trans time after time after time. And I was being disobedient to what God was telling me to do. And, you know, even if I did eventually make a video talking about it or even showing the world who I really am, slow obedience is still disobedience. So during the times that I was disobedient, God made me suffer. But the minute that I spoke my truth, told my story, life went up from there. Nobody's life is perfect, but life genuinely got better mentally, genuinely got better, you know, in some aspects in the physical also, like, you know, just opportunities and me touching people that are just like me,
Yeah.
saving them.
You were no longer alone.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's what it really felt like. Like it was, I had a whole community
Right.
just like me, but everyone was afraid to speak up on it. Everyone was afraid to be placed in a category of trans or, you know, just any other category that's out there.
Right. Right. What's something you would tell your younger self?
Be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone dim your light. And you're amazing. You're powerful. You have a purpose, a strong purpose. And you're going to change the world.
My name is Chris Trappin Anonymous. Let's get it.